doesn't.
I think we're good. Welcome to another guest interview. I'm really, really excited because Alyssa has been a very, very small part of the Quantum Business Almanac for a couple of issues now, but she's going to be coming on board for an article. So my name is April Hunter, and I write here on Metaphysical Money. If you're finding me on YouTube or Instagram, it probably means that I have repurposed this content, and really the goodies are over on Metaphysical Money. But Alyssa has an absolutely fantastic community and Substack herself. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about everything that she has going on.
Thank you so much, April. So excited to be here. So, yeah, my name is Alyssa Knapp. I am the founder of Boss Frequency. I recently rebranded. It's still new and fresh. I actually think this might be my first guest appearance as Boss Frequency CEO and founder. So excited to be here. And I am a holistic business coach. So I help spiritual entrepreneurs, usually service providers, practitioners, healers, therapists, all the like, really create businesses that feel good to the nervous system, good on the body, and also very importantly, that help scale, that help give us more time, that help give us more freedom in our lives and in our businesses. And a big thing for me, and I feel like this is coming even stronger and stronger as we get closer to 2026, is really how important our roles are as spiritual entrepreneurs, as leaders of the new paradigm, especially when we are in this just crazy tower moment of a world that we find ourselves in, and lots of people are questioning lots of things. And I think that we as people in this space really have an opportunity to step up and to lead. And we get to do that through our businesses as entrepreneurs, which I think is really fun and really exciting. So I feel like there's this just kind of cool, fun intersection that happens within the work that I do of strategy, the energetics, and then also purpose, really, and being leaders.
I love that. And I have to say, like, so you and I came to very kind of similar areas from very, very different business backgrounds because you came in from a very, very spiritual, like original business, and
Yeah.
I came from like accounting. Like the driest that you could get. Like there is no spirituality in accounting. And
Yeah.
so like I am a member of Rise and I absolutely love your Rise community because what I found as like a person who is mixing spirituality and the very, very dry accounting and numbers practices is, like having a community where you can just spout off astrology or human design or whatever, and you don't have to like explain what the heck that even means, allows us to center and expand so much further than if you're like, here's a basis of knowledge that I feel like everybody should have, and then like then you spend most of your time explaining and getting people up to speed rather than like expanding out. And so that's what I love probably most about Rise is like because it is very, very much that place where like we all have a general basis of what things are, and if not we go Google it really, really quickly. And so we're able to like answer those questions and help each other really, really expand. So I love your community.
Oh, thank you, April. We love having you in the community. And yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm glad that you brought that up because it's something that I've been hearing from some of the women in there as well as in my networking circle. I have a networking circle that I host every month that anybody is welcome to. And one thing I hear is how safe they feel in the space because they don't feel like they have to put a mask on to come
Mhm.
into the room, and they can talk about weird things that you hear in my circle like dragons and aliens and all kinds of things, and you can just, or past lives even, and this and that, right? Like you can talk about these things and have these conversations without being like, can I say that, should I say that,
Mhm.
like we go there. And that I think is really the most important thing when it comes to growing our businesses, especially as spiritual entrepreneurs, is that it has to feel, I mean, really for everybody, but for us we feel it because we're so empathic, but it has to feel authentic. Every bit of what you're doing has to feel authentic. And if you
Mhm.
don't have a space where you feel safe
Mhm.
in sharing yourself and really saying these things, then you're not really going to grow. You're not really going to grow. So that is what I really pride myself in, and bringing together the most kick-ass people, and having the space where, again, you can really bring anything to the table that's going on, because often what happens is whatever is sort of coming to the table, there's something deeper beneath it, right? Like, it is like you said, like, a lot of us have this basic level understanding of the basics of business, the basics of marketing, the basics of all of these things, but really it's putting it into practice, and all the little sticky areas that come up when putting it into practice.
Mhm.
That's really where we need the support. And that's kind of where Rise Community came from, where it's like, okay, I could sit here and talk at you and teach and this and that, but like, realistically, it, or you're more than capable of going and watching this video, on it, or doing this training, or what have you. But it's really about the implementation piece, where people need the most support. That's where we tend to fall off, right? Like, you could have the most perfect plan that even feel maybe it's perfect for your human design, or whatever, but if you don't have that, somebody sort of pulling you in that other direction, or holding the space for you to sort of come in and figure it out,
Yeah.
then it could be 10 years from now before you actually do anything with it, right? So it's also about putting things into action, as
Yeah.
quickly as possible.
Yeah. That actually is another thing that I wanted to just highlight is like when we are talking about like these basic business things, like you could say like, hey, I'm a 3-5, vessel of love. And this is my challenge, and why this normal everyday offer or system and, template is not working for me. And you could come in and be like, well, what is your astrology, whatever, with this, like flavor of astrology? It could be this factor of why it's not feeling authentic. And I think that that's really like one of the greatest aspects of the community is like, while I know human design really well, like astrology, I can tell you about the transits, but once you start getting to some of the natal chart things, I'm like, I'm a little, fuzzy on that, you know? So, but there is always somebody who has that kind of basis of understanding who can take you to that like next level of like, hey, does this sound like it's true for you? And if so, then maybe you want to try like operating within this system of that authenticity. And so
Mm.
I really love that about your community.
Thank you. Yeah. And, I think what's really important to note too, because I know we were going to talk a little bit about, human design as well, is that we we are all so different, right? Like, every person is so different. And my world in Rise Community is, it's very much not about, right, everybody building the same business, or
Mm-hmm.
everybody building it in the same way, right? It's really figuring out how we take these best practices and these things, and how do we make it fit for our energy, for our life. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's throwing away certain parts of it, right? Like, maybe there are certain types of launches that you just never do as
Right.
a projector, or something like that, right? So there are so many things like that can help. And then, yeah, using all of these tools to really help inform us and guide us in the best decision making for us is
Mm-hmm.
just, it's the
Yes.
best.
So on that human design tangent, and this is like why I really love human design so much. So I do channel business messages, but also like I do a lot of human design for business owners, chart readings. And like there is a very, very consistent starting to become like there's like, oh, like there's almost always a 4-6 or a 5-1 or a 3-5, and like there's a couple outliers, of course, but it's really, really awesome to like see like what does the standard business owner kind of mix look like. So I know you're a manifester and I am a generator, but I have a self-projected projector side. Um,
Same.
and then I also had a reading the other day for another manifester. And when we were reading through their chart, I was like, you really need to think about this like Aries energy. And I was like, I have an Aries stellium. So I'm like, oh my gosh, is this where all of that manifesting type thought process comes? And so, like just being able to like relate to you on that manifester level of like even today we started and I was like you need to go first because you're the manifester, and like I need to respond to this. So it's like knowing those things. And I will say like as you start to build out your teams for business, like knowing what people's design is so helpful.
So helpful, because I've definitely been in situations where I found out after the fact, which, not that your design tells you if you're going to be good at this or bad at that, or anything like that, right? It just really helps inform us how to actually interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
right? I find that to be so, so helpful. And one thing that I always appreciate from people who know human design, ooh, sorry, I have cat hair everywhere. I have a cat on my lap that now the hair is just all over the place.
Such a
Um,
kitty.
she is very cute. And she's like, why'd you stop petting me? Because your hair is everywhere. Um, is that so what I really appreciate from people who understand human design and understand manifestors
Mhm.
specifically is, so manifestors, our strategy is to inform.
Mhm.
And obviously, generator types, right? It's to respond.
Mhm.
So, manifestors aren't really built to respond. So, to be asked be pummeled with questions
Mhm.
or be told what to do or anything like that is just like so ick. So I always appreciate people who understand manifestor energy too and
Mhm.
frame things in such a way and really sort of understand why I am the way I am.
Yeah. Yeah, just that framing is so important. So like my middle child is a manifester and just the way that I raise him and interact with him is so much different than my other two kids. Um but like it's been helpful in all of my manifester people because I know like I literally have to ask you a completely different question than I would ask like say my youngest or myself. So it's like I have to ask you these very open-ended and if you have a creative side of whatever you're doing, like just let it run. But if you're not in creative mode, it's best to just let you be. And that's such a wonderful thing of for my manifestor son, it's really fun to watch him. And he has a lot more leeway than than I probably should give him. But like the way that he goes about things is like he goes out and he like absorbs all of the information that he can absorb about a topic and then it's like this explosion of creativity and it's so much fun to watch, but it's hard to parent because like you want them to be on that like every day you're going to have a structure and you're going to have a routine and you're going to be whatever, and I'm like he just gathered information for 5 days and then the weekend was like full of creative excitingness, and it's so much fun to see. So like it's great to know that and see that on an unconditioned level too because I've just allowed him to be a manifestor as long as I've known. So like then I can bring it back and like apply it to my business friends and my business owners that I work with, and that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. I have two manifesting generator boys who are both emotional man gens,
Mhm.
and I definitely understand and appreciate that. And it's really, really interesting, like, especially with kids, right, to observe them in that it's just like their energy in the cleanest, clearest form,
Mhm.
right? And there's also just a lot of manifesting energy, lots of informing going on around our house. We're all just informing each other all the time. But yeah, I also agree with just like what I've learned from them to how I can apply it and understand how it really works for them in context of my clients and the work that I do, right? Especially manifesting generators really have that multi-dimensional, multi-interest, multi ADHD, if you will, just right, just sort of like all over the place where the interest changes and the interest shifts a lot. And again, just understanding, I think these aspects about ourselves help us so much in
Mhm.
how we structure our businesses and also how we choose to operate our businesses, right? Because again, there are best practices when it comes to maybe how often you should email or post or show up or do this or do that,
Mhm.
but there we have to make that work with who we are and how our energy works. Otherwise you'll begin to be resentful around it or you'll burn out around it, right? I mean, for years, the first couple years that I had my business running it as a manifester, I was still operating as a manifesting generator. Like that's when I learned about human design. That was what I identified with consciously, was a manifesting generator. I remember being pissed that I was a manifester. I'm like, no way. I definitely have that generator. No, I don't. No, I don't. And not only do I not have a defined sacral, but I also have an undefined root center,
Mhm.
which is the source of many issues. So for me,
Yes.
learning, yes, just yes. So
Yes.
for me,
Agree.
learning that, I don't have consistent energy.
Mhm.
I can't treat myself as if I do. Like I can't, like I remember waking up early to get work done, staying up late to get work done, just doing, like I don't even know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. Just something. I got to do something. I just have
Yeah.
to do something, to make it work. And, learning and understanding that. And every child that has an opportunity to grow up with a human design informed parent, I think is just the luckiest ducks ever.
Mhm.
And I would love to see a world where that's just the norm. Um, what a gift, right? Because there's so much that we are conditioned to operate outside of just what is natural to ourselves. And, when I finally learned, like, okay, there are going to be periods of rest and then creativity, but the rest is like 80% of the time.
Mhm.
And those creative urges are like just a wee little actual bit of the time. And you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. However, when you actually lean into that, and instead of your rest periods being recovery,
Mhm.
from pushing yourself too hard, right? And instead you allow that to really be a restoration and really allow yourself to just do, and rest doesn't have to mean sitting on the couch watching Netflix, right? It just means not pushing and not forcing energy in one direction. So, and then what happens is once that creative urge comes, that manifestor urge comes, you get more done in that day, 2 days, however long it lasts, to make up for a lifetime. Like it's crazy how much you can achieve and accomplish.
Mhm.
So I had to again, I continue to, because my energy changes, right? Like I continue to restructure and change things up in a way that works for me and for my energy. And
Mhm.
especially as a menstruating female,
Mhm.
aligning
Mhm.
all of that with those inner seasons and cycles as
Right.
well, like that has all been really, really interesting. And one thing I will say that has been really important and helpful, which I don't do enough, is actually tracking these cycles and actually paying attention to how I'm feeling and when I'm feeling it, right? And then when we bring the transits into things, I mean, it's really, really powerful because you can then sort of start to anticipate. You can start to anticipate, like, okay, this is when I might feel this, surge of energy. This is when I know my body requires more rest. And, when it comes to living your human design, when it comes to what do they call it? The experiment, right?
Mhm.
Once you begin experimenting with your human design and beginning the process of deconditioning, it actually takes so much trust. Like
Mhm.
it takes such an unbelievable amount of trust that you can do that and it's going to be okay, right?
Mhm.
Like I know that on some levels I'm still learning that it's safe to rest.
Right.
I'm still learning that it's okay that I just don't get anything done today. Or, I don't have to be folding laundry while I'm listening to this podcast or whatever. I can just sit and do it if that's you know what I mean? So, like
Yeah.
those little things. Um, and another thing that has been, just really important too as a manifester is the informing in like so many areas of my life, in every area of my
Mhm.
life. That has been really, really important. And it's hard because manifestors are the only type where their strategy doesn't actually come like second nature, right?
Right.
Like it's or first nature, really, right?
Mhm.
It's not natural, like it doesn't feel natural
Mhm.
to inform.
Right.
So that has been definitely a big learning curve and learning to just like announce when something's happening, or
Mhm.
hey, I'm going to be doing this, or whatever. um that has been really huge. And again, same thing with the family, right? Same thing, because I could always just be in my head, like, know what I'm doing this, having a plan, this and that, but informing and actually sharing like what's going on in this little noggin of mine,
Mhm.
and what the plan is and what I'm being guided to do has been really huge. And when we are doing that and we're allowing ourselves to do that, right, we are literally just lighting these little sparks everywhere.
Right.
Like it actually happened over the weekend. I'd mentioned something to my husband about an upstairs bathroom that we really need to have remodeled. And saying how, oh, like, there's just like looks like a little mold is coming, like we really need to, like, I just said to him, I'm like, I just want to get one of those big sprayer bottles of like whatever cleaner and just go in and whatever. And then a couple weeks later, he's like, you know what I really want to do? I want to go to Home Depot and I want to get one of those sprayer things and I want to spray the stuff and clean the bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all
Like,
right.
you read my mind.
Yeah.
Love when you do that. I should inform you more often so you can read my mind. Did you know you're telepathic? Love it.
Yeah.
On the topic of knowing your human design for your kids, there's a fantastic book by April Porter. I will link it in our show notes. It is all about how to raise your children like within their
Mm.
design, and it's super good because it goes into like their design, but it also tells you like tricks and hacks of how to raise them as your own design. So like this is how this person compares to this person. I have used it just for like just normal relationship stuff, but it's so good. And then I have to, since we're kind of like on the realm of like working with other people in relationship, um, there is a person that I recently started working with, and we, of course, I was like, hey, I can give you a human design reading because that's like my favorite thing to do. If I need to know how to work with somebody. Like, here, you can have a free design reading, just so I know how to work with you better. But like, I was going to hire her for something completely different. And then we ran her human design, and I was like, oh my gosh. So, because we now know this about your design, I actually think that it would be better to have you run this type of a situation and then pass that off to somebody else that we hire in these little roles. And you basically are going to be creating like this portion of what I really suck at. So that somebody else can do this part of like what I can do. I just don't have the time to do it. And this kind of ties back into our conversation, which is over on Alyssa's channel of like that measure of success of like part of what I feel is successful is that time and space. So like I'm able to like work through the systems of human design to really give myself success of something that I could be doing, but I'm going to give myself time and space back so that I have more energy to then, respond to people and what they need.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And there is, I don't know if you've used this, April, but I think it's on which website is it where you can actually look at two charts to see two
Oh,
charts and how
yeah.
they work together.
So
Is it My Human Design?
there's a couple different ones. I had both of them last year. So I will say if you're doing it on just like a lovey relationship, like a husband and wife type relationship, the My Body Graph relationship connection
That's
chart
right,
is
My Body
really
Graph.
good.
Okay. Hmm.
So they do like who's dominant in one area versus another area. So they're really good as far as that goes. But if you want like a good like business slanted one, uh gene matrix, I think it's gene matrix,
Oh, Genetic
genetic
Matrix.
matrix. So close. So
You were
close.
so close.
My brain didn't fall all the way out and just started to slip. So Genetic Matrix does some really, really good connection charts as well, but they also do penta charts, which if you're hiring in like a you're gonna have more than just two people situation, learning that penta type situation of like, okay, like Alyssa is going to tell us all what to do. And, like some other manifesting generator is going to run this aspect of it. And this other manifesting generator or manifestor is going to run like this customer service part of it, and then we're going to have like all of these generator support people is so helpful of like just like I use it all of the time in my work and it helps businesses really, really sing because like there's one of the people that I that has really, really just like this changed their job so much was they are a manifester who has that customer service. Like that's what they get creative and excited over. So we have them in a very customer service based role, even though they're a manifester. And they are running some other teams and stuff, but like that, like they were doing something completely different, like training manuals. And I was like, no, we cannot, no more training manuals for them. So,
Wow, that is so interesting. I never heard of that aspect of it before. Penta?
yeah, pentas are fantastic. And I mean, I use pentas and I can like set up your system based on pentas, but there are some way better people than me about that do pentas. And I'm aspiring to get to that level because it's like they don't, I mean, a lot of people won't include your business. And I think that that's the thing that I bring in that a lot of people don't, because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know a ton of other people who will read your business's human design chart. And I bring in your business as if it's your own energy. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's my unique value proposition.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, the way that you have and you blend the like you said, like all the fractional CFO, stuff and all of that information and then layering it in with the human design and everything else. I mean, you're a unicorn.
Thank you. This
You're a
is not the
unicorn.
first time I've been told that I'm a unicorn.
Yeah,
A
you're.
rainbow
But for
unicorn.
but for you, I actually am now. I'm picturing a goat, a cute little goat with a unicorn horn.
Mm.
It's even more
Like
unique.
I think they have sheep that are similar to that. I think they're like a Joseph sheep. They have like four horns and they're spotty.
Excellent. We should color a
Now
rainbow
we're
on it.
going
Call
into
it a
other
day.
side
Yeah. Now we're
hustles.
other
April
things. Other
had
things. Yeah. Yeah. Um, the
April's
only other
generator energy spent.
right. Yes. And I feel like the only other part that we didn't talk about that I really think is important in this conversation of human design and business too, right? And weaving it in is
Mhm.
the authority,
Mm.
and the inner authority.
Yes.
And that is definitely, again, another really key factor, like a thing that definitely helped me a lot, like really understanding. So I'm a splenic authority.
Hmm.
And for me, I really have to pay attention to fear. Like
Mm.
really, really have to pay attention to fear. And I think that's where that trust piece really comes in again too, of like knowing that I can really trust myself and trust my intuition and
Hmm.
trust that when things come in, that I can move forward with it and not, second guess it, even when it's drastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
just things come in, and you're like, oh shit, I have to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Do you have an
and
do you have open head?
I have an open head. Yes. Not I have a defined ajna, but not head.
Mm,
Hmm.
yes, that open head, open root problem. Oh my gosh. I also have open head, open root, and I will tell you, it is my least favorite part of my design. Because that, like, oh my gosh, I will get to the dishes. Stop yelling at me. I don't know if it's the right time to do them yet. It's like, it's so frustrating. Yeah, that splenic authority. I really kind of wish I had splenic authority. I'm like, so if you look at my human design, all of my points are open, and then everything is like very packed in the middle.
Mm. Yeah, because you're sacral, obviously.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody who's listening who does not know their human design, right? Well, I imagine many do at this point, but definitely
If you're on my Substack, you
if
might
you're on your
sit
Substack,
in it.
you do. Right, exactly. Yeah. Definitely check because about half the population have solar plexus or emotional authority. And that is definitely one piece that I see get um have issues in business, right? In the sense of feeling like you have to make decisions very quickly rather than give yourself the time and space to really ride an emotional wave before coming
Mhm.
into conclusion,
Yeah.
whether that's something that you're launching or a way that you're pivoting your business or just making day-to-day decisions, not day-to-day decisions, like little micro decisions, but the bigger things, right? The bigger things of like, okay, how do I want to position this? Or even hiring somebody,
Mhm.
right? We're saying yes to opportunities like podcast interviews or things of that nature,
Yeah.
and really learning to give yourself time, in between those decisions. I feel like that's a really big game
I
changer.
I would say that for all of the different channel business messages or like the business alignment readings that I do, I would say it's closer to 80% of people who have come across, my path and I've done readings for, that either they or their business have an emotional wave. And so like if you don't have an emotional wave, odds are your business does. And so like you really have to pay attention to those cycles. And I'll give you tips and tricks in those readings of like we need to set up a survey or we need to set up like some kind of metric so that you can start to gauge what your business's emotional wave is.
Wow, that's really interesting. You know what I just realized? I've never run a chart for my business, but now that I've changed my business name, would it be my new business or would it still be when I launched the
So it
first?
it depends, and that's where the channeling of the business really comes in.
Yeah, got you.
So I have had multiple businesses where it doesn't matter what string of the business is, it's the same business energy that keeps coming back around to support you and help you achieve your goals. I have had like parent-child relationships where this business was a parent and then you guys gave birth to the child. I have had past life businesses that have come in from a past life, like you lost part of your soul and it's part of your soul coming back to you. I mean, I have really had to expand, like going back to like what we were talking about in the beginning with the Rise community of like knowing that you just kind of have like that grace and you're not going to get judged in the community. I have had to expand my own like realm of like what is possible through those channeled business messages, because I can't tell you what's right and what's wrong in those because it's channeled. Like what's coming out my mouth might sound like complete absurdity, but it's channeled. Like your business is saying this. I have no choice, you know? And so,
Yes.
but usually when they come in, there's usually like a visual aspect of them. So like I've had like for one of those businesses that has that kind of a joint chart, her first business came in and it was that of like the paddles for like a cardiac arrest patient.
Mm.
And then a couple years later, she had started a different business. And in that chart, it was a heart bypass surgery, is like what that visual came in as. And so it was a way for her to, like she had like some love issues going on in her life at this period. And so like her business was really helping her navigate and bypass those things. So it's really fun of like to see like what that connection is between like this chart, and this chart, and like what the story is. And a lot of times like there's residue of like what was going on in your life when you created that business. Like a lot of 3-5 businesses that I have come in are businesses that were started as like a memorial, or like there was like a really emotional event, and they tend to not stay in that chart very long, because it is just so emotionally tangled. And so those ones tend to like, like phase out pretty quickly, or like they start to fizzle themselves out because you have moved on and you have healed, but they still are carrying that emotional residue.
Interesting. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, like
Oh
like
my
the
God.
data that I'm starting to collect on all of this is like a whole research study in itself. And I can't wait until I'm like 80 years old and I can write that book of like, here is like 50 years of working with businesses and their design.
Mm, that is, I would read that. I'd
Yeah.
read that book.
I
Do we
mean,
have to
right,
wait till you're 80?
for the book probably, but just
Yeah.
like so I do have quantum business design, which is all about the design of your business and learning the design of your business and how to work with it best. So I have a course on that. It's just I have not launched it yet because it's not the right time, or I don't know the time because of my open route.
You don't know the time, or you just didn't get to that part of the almanac yet, right? Maybe it'll reveal itself.
That one's not totally almanac based. So in the last module of that course, we do talk about the timing in the almanac, like the factors that I use to create the almanac, so that you can go out and basically recreate the almanac if you really want to. But it helps you to plan things based upon like what the transits are. So like you can plan your whole marketing based upon the mandala and all of those little micro details.
So fun.
It is like, yeah, just the way that this tism has gone is amazing. I really like it. So awesome. Okay, tell us where we can find you, because I think we're at a great place to like come and check out the Rise community. I'm going to say this for her. You need to come into the Rise community because it's really, really awesome. And she's going to tell you how you can sign up for it and what the entry gate, is for that, or the entry drug, however you're getting us into that. And then also her article for the Q1 2026 Business Almanac will also be out in my Substack. So subscribe to my channel. And then she also has her own Substack.
Yes, I do. Thank you, April.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So my Substack is the Offer Oracle. So you can go check me out over there. Or you can reach out on bossfrequency.com, which is where you can also get information for Rise Community. And Rise Community is my little collective of, again, soulful entrepreneurs, service providers, healers, people who love talking about all of this stuff. And we are all growing our businesses together. There you get lots of support when it comes to creating offers, launching offers, scaling your offers. We do everything from we talk about marketing, social media, email, which actually there's going to be a big thing coming up in 2026, maybe January, maybe February, probably January, around email marketing. We're actually going to be doing a really big deep dive into email marketing in 2026 because I do believe that we are collectively shifting away from social media. A lot of us are feeling that pull away from it and are really over the games, essentially, that social media and the algorithms play on us. I think we're realizing that it's very much a not so healthy thing for our mental and physical and emotional well-being.
Mhm.
And so email is going to be making a huge comeback. So we're going to be diving into that. I'm actually going to be launching a new course and bringing everybody through a challenge of really kickstarting their email. Yeah, and I'm super, super excited about that. So
Mm.
follow me on here. Go hit me up if you have any questions about Rise Community. You can check. I'm sure April will link it beneath here, and or feel free to reach out to her or I. And yeah, thank you so much. This is a fun conversation.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming on today and thank you for your time.